Last week, our system became a whole lot dimmer as the darkness veiled, cloaked some of our most treasured worlds. For a brief moment, the Traveler, dormant since the Red War, shone bright, but was silent once more. Desperate times have called for desperate measures. After years of research, of exploring the depths of our system, and in the best interest of protecting humanity, I confess, I have learned and now wield the power of darkness, of Stasis. Welcome back, Guardians, to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here, with an update in our story, and an explanation to our Vanguard and to the people of the city. Today we're going to outline exactly what happened on Europa and what has led us here. I know you have a lot of questions, and I hope this helps answer them. More so, I hope this helps explain the path I've chosen and reassure you of my commitment to your protection. Several seasons ago, the Hive stirred on the moon. They built the Scarlet Tower, chanted their incantations, and threatened us again. On our own doorstep, remembering the great disaster and the legend of Rezalazir, the Lightbearer better known as Dredge and Yor, I went. I investigated. I combed the depths. I plunged into the pit of heresy and ripped apart that infernal gladiatorial ring. The Hive were scattered, and I discovered what emboldened them in the first place. The lunar pyramid. Ever since then, Eris Morn has been working to uncover its secrets. A key, an artifact tucked away inside, carried communications apparently from the darkness itself. I heard it. I listened. Not with open arms, but with an open mind. When the narrator claimed to be my salvation, I held my tongue and my ground. When the communiques and sometimes even Eris Morn insisted that darkness was a necessary fact of life, I raised an eyebrow, but nothing else. For some time now, the pyramids, it seems, have been trying to speak to us. Last season, as they approached overhead, their signal became louder. Not clearer. Savathun, the Witch Queen, did everything she could to interfere, but over time, we were able to decipher the messages. Again, we were being told that dark was indeed the opposite to the light. Not morally, per se, more a force, entropy, driving the universe forward and seeking to balance the light. Even the Nine, as mysterious as they tend to be, when I smashed down their door and invaded their realm, they had a similar response. A balance of light and dark were prophesized to be the future. Now, I want you to know I have not trusted this at its word. Doubts are the only certainty, the only thing we really know. Is the narrator here really the darkness? Are the pyramids the darkness? Are we being led astray? Has this been one giant manipulation right from the start? Questions. Always. Questions are important. Doubt and skepticism I have wielded along with the light. Over a week ago, I received a vision. I was shown a pyramid, and the people of our system, namely the Hive, Cabal, Elixni, and humanity, all were facing the pyramid, and the voice that has been calling me made it clear that it was speaking to others as well, offering them salvation, and that I would find answers on Europa. Then, the planets disappeared. I traveled to that icy moon. I had to know. There, I found Aramis, the ship stealer, the one who led the raid on our old tower. She and her people were also communing with the pyramids. She too was promised power, and she pursued it obsessively. I have long studied the Elixni, the Fallen, as some call them. A once proud people who once were chosen to live in the shadow of the Traveler. Their society fell to ruin when the Traveler left. Much like our collapse, their world fell to a whirlwind, and just like us, they have been struggling to survive ever since. There, at the heart of the Risborn city, the new world of the Elixni, as I watched Aramis promise to break the chains keeping her people down and empower them with darkness, with stasis, I did not feel anger. I felt pity, sadness. Aramis may have been driven by anger, but that anger was well deserved. The traveler abandoned her people. Perhaps the Elixni had grown too dependent on it, but nevertheless, the Elixni, the Fallen, have been trying to survive in a harsh universe ever since. Of course, my memory is not faulty, nor is my study of history. I know that the Fallen have long remained humanity's greatest enemy. I know about the Battle of Six Fronts, Twilight Gap, the Reef Wars. I know about all of that. But if your society was ripped apart, if every scrap of power and standing you had was torn away, you would fight for it. I know you would. So, I'm not saying I endorse it, but I was not surprised when I saw them there, the Fallen, thirsting for power, a way to break the chains of dependency on ether and rise up. However, rather than seeking to empower her people and unite them, Aramis strove for power over others. She would not be content to simply and greatly save her people, but would not stop until she had destroyed any she thought opposed her. I watched as she turned on her own people, any who desired peace or at least demonstrated doubt over this new power. I watched as what could have been a new life for the Elixni, a new city of advancement and innovation. I watched as Aramis worked to tear it apart. So I stepped in and did what I always do. I wasn't alone. Guardians from all over have been spotted on Europa. With a wave and a nod, we all know our job, our purpose, our responsibility. Varix and the defenseless called out for help, and that's what Guardians do, protect those who cannot protect themselves. We evacuated as many as we could, off to Mithrax, apparently the new Kell of the House of Light. Along the way I learned more about Stasis. Just as the light can manifest in ways of arc, solar, and void, the darkness, apparently, can manifest in the form of stasis. Now, everything I know about the light suggests that it itself is a fundamental force of reality, but that it also calls forth the elements. If stasis acts as an element, perhaps a new one or one left hidden by the darkness or the light all this time, then stasis is as natural as the fires of soul, of our sun. I know, that's a stretch, but what I also know is that this is different. My ghost and I didn't want to go down this road. We were perfectly happy defending humanity with the powers of the light. But to survive our experiences, and better yet, to understand them, to get one step ahead, to empower ourselves, we followed this path. And in the end, we discovered something. We didn't need a fragment, a splinter of darkness to wield stasis. No, the scary truth is that all we had to do was look within. There is light and dark everywhere, and while the darkness itself is probably not to be trusted, the power it wields can be controlled. My fellow Guardians and I are proof of that. Once we understood that, the threat of corruption, the literal sickening of ourselves and our ghost, vanished. I am able to wield stasis with as much control as the light. I do not harbor sinister ambitions. I do not wish to dominate, but to protect. I'm also not foolish enough to think I have all the answers. For one, the journey is just beginning. More importantly, I have constantly been consulting with our allies, new and old, to check my understanding, my perception, against theirs. I know the Vanguard's official position. Stasis is not to be used by Guardians. But while caution is needed, so too is experience. If the darkness can corrupt, twist us, blind us, I say so too can the light. Heretical to hear, maybe, but for too long we have leaned on the light and only the light as our protection. It has not let us down, but I think it has held us back. I'm not saying the darkness is for everyone. Not everyone can be trusted with power, even the light. But cautious steps forward represent progress, and I for one am holding the line. Zavala, Ikora, Osiris, Saint, Eris, Hawthorne, fellow listener, to all my allies, Yes, even you, Drifter. I promise this. My only concern is the protection of humanity. If I have to scour the tombs of hive worlds, the simulations of the Vex, or cold, icy reaches of the unknown, I will do so. I will carry your wisdom, your guidance, but you must learn to trust in powers beyond yourself, and perhaps beyond the light. I will not become another Dredgen Yor. As a guardian, especially a Titan, that legacy is all too present on my mind. But I have done what Yor didn't want to, what his former self couldn't. I can wield light and dark against our enemies, and I will stand by your side when trouble comes. Or better yet, go out and face it head on. I honestly believe this is the future, but it is one we must walk with caution. There are more secrets behind Stasis, Europa, and even Clovis Bray, and I will continue to search for them, as will my fellow Guardians. Thank you all very much for listening. I hope this has helped explain the events of Beyond Light, and of our time so far on Europa. Feel free to set your ghost's frequency to this channel, so you will receive notifications when these reports go live. As always, Guardians, I ask that you be safe, be kind, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.